Hi everyone, I'm the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. If you want to see more videos from me, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Today it is 88 degrees in Southwest Florida. It's got a little bit of a breeze, but it's a warm, sunny morning here. And what I want to do today is share with you some of my flowering plants that I have, and also tell some stories, a little background, a little future things that I want to do with them. The first thing is this Dendrobium right here, and I've shared with you what my plans were for that Dendrobium maybe about a couple of weeks ago, 10 days, a couple of weeks ago. This is Dendrobium Wulang. It just blooms like crazy. It's a big plant, blooms like crazy, blooms throughout the year. It's very fragrant, and it's out of control. Grows really well. So 10 days ago, I crossed this with a Dendrobium cruminatum that has a very limited flower time. Also another fragrant dendrobium. And what I'm seeing even after 10 days is that there is a seed capsule that's starting to form. So I'm pretty excited. It looks like this was a successful cross. I made crosses of a couple of different flowers on this plant, and what I'm hoping for is just something a little bit more fragrant, maybe a little smaller, because of the cruminatum tends to be a little smaller, and we'll see what comes out. A lot of times when you do crosses, you just don't know what you're going to get. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about them. I want to share with you a couple other plants that I have. This is Burana Beauty Burana. This is a plant that I acquired fairly recently. It has, I'm going to show this to you, it's been blooming. It has another bloom spike coming out of it right here. This is an old bloom right here, as you might imagine. And I crossed something else onto this plant, and I'm pretty excited about that cross as well. I've got, this is again Burana Beauty Burana, a real nice small flare. It's got some fragrance to it, so it's a nice plant. And then this is another recent acquisition. This is Star Ruby Xanadu, and this has a flower on it here, and then this flower that's fading pretty quickly is a flower that I crossed onto, and I'm excited about this cross as well. Both Burana Beauty and Star Ruby, these are recent acquisitions, and they're blooming, and they're nice plants. They're pretty vigorous. This thing is bloomed. Burana Beauty has bloomed a lot, but they're pretty vigorous plants, and it turns out they're pretty popular. So the story relating to these two plants is that I went to a local Home Depot earlier this week. And it's a Home Depot that I like to go to because they've got a lot of orchids. They don't just have the standard Phalaenopsis, they've got a lot of Cattleyas and a lot of different types, but they usually have the real popular plants that are easy to grow. And I picked up this plant, and I picked up this plant, and I thought they were special. And well, they are special, but they also are for sale at Home Depot. So I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you, that the plants that I recently acquired that I thought were special are essentially clones that have been produced probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of these plants. I don't know where they were made, but they were made, and they're being mass produced. You know, it doesn't take away from the beauty of the plants. I really like them. I want to be able to grow them. They're pretty vigorous, but it does take away, as you might imagine, from the uniqueness and the novelty. And that's what's really commonly done in the orchid world, is that orchids are mericloned, so they're cloned from the meristematic tissue. It gives rise to large numbers of exact clones or duplicates of the plant that you started from, and these are cloned plants from an original a very special awarded parent. Again, this is Xanadu, this is Burana, and this is Xanadu, which is the name that was given after they were awarded, and these were the plants that were cloned and mass produced, and they're great. But the thing is, what I've done now is I crossed this right here, and I crossed this right here. So the progeny that I'm going to get from this, hopefully will have some of the nice characteristics of the parent plants and be, really vigorous, prolific, flower like crazy, but they'll also be unique because of what I cross these guys with. So that's what I'm hoping for, and that's the fun of it all. So again, little disappointed that I don't have something unique, which doesn't happen too much in the orchid community, but I'm happy that I have vigorous plants and I've crossed them, and hopefully the progeny will be unique. Definitely the progeny will be unique, but hopefully the progeny plants will be vigorous and beautiful and fragrant and all those things that I look for in orchids. I have one last thing that I want to show you, and this is this orchid right here. And this is an interesting story here. I'm going to show you a little close-up of the blooms. They're just really, they're nice-looking blooms. It's the thing that I like about these guys. It's just really fragrant. This is kind of a baby powder, vanilla, maybe a little herbal mixed in. And this thing has been blooming probably for close to 2 weeks, but it's still really fragrant and really nice. Okay. I can't tell you what this is because this is a NoID plant. I have no idea what it is. There's no identification that's associated with it. It's a really nice plant. I asked some of my orchid growing friends if they knew what it was, and they said, well, it looks like it might have a little bit of Mark Jones in it or something like, but I just don't know what it is. So what happened with this is I purchased this plant according to my records, where it's just marked in my records as Cattleya. I purchased it, I think, around 6 years ago. It was one of my earliest purchases when I first started expanding my collection. And there might have been a tag with it, but I wasn't really keeping good track of what was going on with it. So if the tag was there, the bird got it, it fell out because I've had it for long for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. So because I don't know what it is, it's a NoID. I don't really know what to do with it. I was thinking, well, I could use it for crosses, but when you cross with NoID, it kind of loses there's no pedigree associated with it, so it loses a lot of the interest and a lot of the value. It's a nice plant. I really like it. One of the other things that you can look at it is there's a little bit of a deformity around the hood of the plant. So right here, there's this thing on this side, but there's not one on the other side of the flower. So the flower is not perfectly symmetrical, and both flowers are like that. And I took pictures of this when it last bloomed. I bought this 6 years ago, so it was blooming 6 years ago, bloomed 5 years ago. It hasn't bloomed in 5 years until this year. I took a look at the picture that I collected from it 5 years ago and 6 years ago, and it had the same thing. It had the same look of the flower. So this is genetic. It's not going to change. So it's a NoID with a little imperfection in the flower. So as much as I love the fragrance on this plant, I'm probably just going to let it get bigger and flower again and enjoy the fragrance and not know what it is. And it's a little disappointing, but I guess I'm happy to have the flower, and I'll deal with the other, the NoID and the other little imperfections that are associated with that. Orchid flowers do have to be perfect when you grow them. It's just great. All right, so that's all I had today. I just wanted to share those stories with you. I wanted to give you an update of the plants that I have blooming, tell you about some of the crosses that I've done. Again, that's all I have for today, and happy propagating.